last week, this is where we finish off from. I think I would try to go to what the issue was last week. The first one was, I think we had issue, we're using MS Test, so that's it, we're using MS Test. Then one of the issue was it was actually it was running to browser, to instances of the browser. That was because of the way I was doing the initialization actually. So I think the one that we had last week, yeah, so there was an extension from here. I think this is what we had last week. Yeah, we had something like that last week. This was not there last week, so I'm going to comment that one out. So basically something like this is what we have last week. So if I try to run this and see what the problem is, okay, 1 minute. So okay, alright, so I'm going to do this again. So last week this was not like that, so it was basically like this. Okay, so I think this is where we were last week actually. So let me try to run it so that we can be in that situation, then we can be able to fix it together. I'll tell you why I did or what I did. And after that, we'll start from beginning. As you can see, it's got two browsers opening, and then I think he actually navigated, and okay, and it was closing, so it's finished. So then one issue was, okay, now that was the issue. Let's try to step into the code, because it's good to actually know what the issue is. So if you now debug so I've already put a breakpoint here so that the test will stop. Yeah, so then if I press F11, so it goes into that code, and I say F11, so it opens the browser, which is okay. And that's it. So, and it comes back again, which is not supposed to be. So that was because in the page object there's another extension in there, which is kind of initializing the driver once again, calling the another instance of the driver. So we're going to remove the extension to fix that issue with the two browser opening. So you can see another one is opening, which is not supposed to be. So we're going to fix that now. So we fix that by going to our page object and say we don't want this instance extended. Then if you do that, let's try to build our code and see if there's any issues with the code. Okay, there's no issue with the code. Let's try to build it again. And let's see what happens. So now there's one instance, and there's another one. So let's go to that one. So you can see there's one instance now, basically. So, and that one, okay. So now we have another issue here. So object reference not set, basically. So we are actually calling driver but we are not actually setting it basically. So it's not set. So what we're going to be doing is like this our driver we need to assign hook to it. There are different ways to do that basically. The simple way is for you to call the hook like that, to say I'm going to call my hook dot driver. That is one simple way of doing it. So now I've got my hook now assigned. So it's going to go to our hook, which is already instantiated with the Chrome driver, and assign it to our driver, which is this particular instance of the driver, which we are calling at this point. So then we are not going to get the error we get that is a null reference. Null reference means that you've not actually assigned anything into that particular variable. So now it's got nothing in there basically. So you are actually trying to call a driver which is got nothing assigned basically. So if we will try now to debug that again. So, and I press F12, this is gone. Okay, that's one. We don't have two instances of the browser again, so that is fixed. So now if I press F11 again, so now if I press this, so you can see that I'm able to navigate now, which is okay. So now, so let's say I put on F11 again. So, and I go F11, so I'm able to say, okay, click. So I'll just say yes on this actually. So another issue that I actually found is the selector. This is totally wrong actually. It was wrong before, but and another thing also, even this is the no, right? Because basically you are kind of using absolute CSS, so you don't normally do this. So I'm going to go through how we're going to do a selector, but basically the simplest thing I've done is to inspect the elements on the create account. So when I inspect the elements like that, so now that is the element. I just right click and I say copy CSS selector for me, because I'm going to use CSS selector, but the one it copied for me. So let me just remove this one, so you can see it's the same thing that's going to copy for me. So, and I'm going to paste what I copied in there. So it's basically the same thing, but it's absolute because I'm starting with body, and to be honest, you shouldn't do that. The problem is for this particular element to be located, you're actually starting from the very, very top. So the issue is that when any part of this particular code changes, let's say the developer decides to move this div or something like that, your code will change basically. Your code will fail. You don't want that. You want to make sure it's a bit relative to what the object element that you are finding basically. So you need to look into a different way that you can actually make this particular CSS cleaner without having to start from body. We're going to look into different methods later, but that's not going to be today. But today we just, okay, let's just try to use absolute one and see what happens. So then later we can refine it to make it better and also reliable. So now let's continue, and we'll press F10. So as you can see, is able to click, and that's it. That's what we are trying to do last week, and that's where we were right now. So there's nothing in the other method anyway. So I think that is everything. So and basically that's what I've done. So it's not big change. One of the issues that I found, one of the issues was basically the group extension. That's one. Then two is this particular element. The element, even the what's it called, the link home that we used was not also working. So we need to find a better way to actually get the home click. Well, that's the summary about the issue. It's not a big thing actually, to be honest. Okay, I said this is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is for you to have a constructor, so like so. Now let me say I commented this one. So another way is to have a constructor. A constructor is a method that's got the same name as the class, basically. If you have a method like this that is got the name of the class, it's called a constructor, and doesn't have an accessor. Basically, accessor is what you can see. This one is an accessor. It's basically saying that, okay, what is the return type? No, sorry, it doesn't have a return type. Rather, it's no accessor. This is the accessor. Is where how can this particular method be accessible? Is it private? Is it public? Is it protected and the likes actually? So, but a constructor will not have a return type, as you can see. So if you have a normal method, they are going to have a return type basically. So, and that's how to do a constructor. What happens in the constructor is like when you run, and anytime you call any method in this particular class, your constructor is executed by default. Once this particular class is any method in this particular class is called, so your constructor will be called first, basically. So in this instance now, you could actually say, I don't want people actually say something like that and bring your this into your constructor, so that the method is from your constructor, and then you can as well remove. This is one way, remove this. So you have your constructor and then you pass your driver into your constructor. This is one way of doing this. I've initially put it at the top, but now I am putting it in the constructor. That is one way of actually doing this also. So depending on what you are familiar with or actually conversant with, you can actually use that. And I know also you could also pass your driver into your constructor. So if you do that, if you pass your driver into your constructor, you would need to also, when you are actually calling that constructor here, you would need to pass it like I've done here. You need to pass it here. So, but I think if you are looking for a simple process, I would say it will be the simple process. Simple process would be that you would create your web driver, equal to that, create your constructor, and then from your constructor you pass your group driver into your this particular driver that you've assigned at the top, and then you would now do web drivers and all the variables that you want to use. And that's when, let's try to run this one now, and then if any questions, please let me know and I can answer any question that you have. If anyone has got any questions, so let me know. So I think, yeah, that's it done anyway. So okay, I think any question where we were, yes, last week,